Hi, I'm Ryan Hunter, and this is Kalispell Connections, a program where we talk about issues important to the community. And with me today is Nichole Heyer, Director of the Kalispell Heart Program. Hi, Nichole.
Hi, nice to see you, Ryan.
So before we get into some of the details of recent events, I know the Kalispell Heart Program has a really interesting kind of origin story. So I was wondering, could you tell us how you came to found the organization and establish it in our community?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to back up a little bit even before the birth of the organization and talk a little bit about my position within Kalispell and Evergreen schools. I work for a federal grant called the McKinney-Vento Grant, which the law was passed in the late 80s. So every school district in America has to essentially appoint a homeless education liaison to help identify students who are struggling in homelessness and then put in place certain supports that essentially help level the playing field within our large and complicated educational system. Having that job, I will tell you that Flathead High School many years ago, many moons ago, there was a large group of teachers and other support staff within the school that really noticed the needs that weren't being met. We're a small rural community and there aren't an abundance of organizations to go around. So they noticed that there were kids who just simply did not have what they needed to be ready for school. So school clothes, school supplies, hygiene products, things of that nature. So these incredibly good-hearted, kind women, like they didn't do enough teaching all day, every day, decided that they would start essentially, a little store for kids to come and shop in and be ready for the school day. So they started that in the basement of Flathead High School, and it grew so quickly that they soon realized that this needed to be an entire separate person's job. So they kind of had to temper down the store, and they always just kind of left a little corner down in the basement of Flathead High utilize that resource. So, flash forward, I'm going to say a little more than a decade later, and the homeless education liaison position, due to need within our district, became an entirely separate job. And so the woman who took on the job before I did, Rhonda Stevens, had this grand vision of having a location centrally located to all the schools so that kids could come kindergarten through high school and shop and have a special place that's dedicated just for them to come and get what they need to be ready for school. She did the job for about a year and a half, and it broke her heart. So I moved in and inherited essentially it was a storage unit kind of down by the train tracks that had a whole bunch of big black trash bags in it and the startings of a store. And anyway, we just pushed forward, and I did a lot of talking with the students that I am in charge of serving and their families, and I actually listened to what they need. And so we built this really great program that allows the community to be able to give and not only material items, but their time and their energy and their support to students in need. And these students get to come on in and, there's no questions asked. Anyone can come in and use the resource. And it's just like one huge giant recycling program now. So it's pretty cool. We're having a good time and serving more and more kids every year. So, yeah.
Can't testify. It is such a wonderful program. I'm just so impressed by it. I want to ask, I know the pandemic is with the loss of jobs and a lot of people just struggling financially because of the economic impact. Have you seen that impact within the school system? Or maybe not yet because of the unemployment benefits. I'm just curious if you're seeing that in your work, kind of an increase in need.
Yeah, so I mean, I will tell you that towards the end of the school year, I definitely had some parents that were affected. I work with a lot of single parents, just one head of household and a couple or a few children that they're trying to support. So they work oftentimes service industry jobs. Um, and so I saw kind of as the school year was wrapping up and we were running mobile heart lockers around the outskirts of the valley so that kids who don't live in town, who have a harder time accessing services, were able to via our mobile units. I was noticing for sure that families were hurting and being laid off from their service industry jobs. Interestingly enough, though, I would say that the demographic I serve was probably less affected. A lot of the families that I serve, someone works in fast food, and frankly, they were busier than ever. And now that we're back at school and I'm making all of these connections with families again since the school year has started, what I found is that the majority of the parents that had kind of, were on temporary hiatus for work, I mean, boy, the tourists still showed up. Um, if I had to guess, I would say they Googled where are the least amount of COVID infections? And so they all came here to bless us with their germs. But they came to spend their money, which has been great. And shockingly, with the Canadian border closed, I thought that that would really hurt us. But frankly, I mean, people are still coming and spending money. So I'm a little more concerned about the families that I don't serve, but their students are on free or reduced lunch. And so I feel like the jobs that maybe that demographic does are going to be more affected by COVID and just kind of the shuffle and the shift that we're seeing in the economy. And I worry about that. I mean, I'm really pushing hard to put together an awareness campaign for my staff at all of the schools, and also working with the food service director for those kids who, I mean, we're talking about a much larger population. I serve about 350 students a year, but we have more than 3,000 on free or reduced lunch. So it's a much bigger piece of the pie. And so at that point, and oftentimes these are families who don't know how to access resources because perhaps they've never quite been in that position before. But yeah, I mean, I think we've been spared, at least somewhat, because of tourism season. So yeah.
Well, that's good to hear, and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see what the fall brings. But a little bit concerning, but hopefully we continue to have maybe better news like that. And so I guess a question for you then, as we gear up into the fall and the start of the school season, what are you doing? I know you've kind of launched some of your programs for the start of the school year. Can you talk about some of those?
Yeah, I mean, so the Heart Locker is up and running and busy. We're having to, normally we have a huge event that's 2 days and there's tons of school supplies and school clothes. And it's a great big celebration to welcome kids back to school and get them pumped and excited about going back to class and strapping a new backpack on. And this year it's looked a little different. We're really only serving one family at a time in the locker. And everyone's wearing masks. And if they're going to be clothes shopping and touching everything, then they have to wear gloves. And we're making sure to wipe down surfaces upon entry and then exit of the Heart Locker. But I mean, people we're still doing school supplies. We've been really busy for the last 2 weeks. And this week as well, we're pretty well packed, even though kids have kind of already started. But so school supplies, school clothes are going quite well at the Heart Locker. This week, we're reopening the markets that are located at the area high schools. that provide, I mean, essentially they work as just mini food markets for kids who need something to eat on their way out of school for in the evening time and over the weekend. And so this week we're back to stocking those and kind of giving those a facelift, and essentially this year how that's going to look and work differently. We're contacting the AV departments at the high schools and putting together kind of public service announcement commercials that really are letting kids know that this is a resource that's available to any student. So not just students that maybe I work with, but really kind of broadening that net and letting students know that, you know, this is a discreet way of accessing, you know, food and school supplies, things of that nature, and that anyone truly is welcome. And that everyone goes through rough patches. So we're all here to love and support each other, and the community truly wants to. So markets are up and running, and yeah, I mean, we've got a couple really exciting projects planned for kind of over the school year in expanding our services. We are putting together a jobs program for teens. I don't have any actual data, which is sort of important, but I will tell you that here's what I've seen. I've seen that when you get a high school kid a job, they do better. They start to feel more autonomous, and you know, success is infectious. So when they're going to work and, you know, they're they fire on all cylinders, and it appears to me that their attendance gets better. And just their overall well-being is better. And they're busy, they're staying out of mischief. And, you know, again, they're just another way of participating within our community. So we're kind of developing a teen jobs program and working with some local businesses, and also our very dedicated job service office. So yeah, it's, you know, COVID can't keep us down.
Well, such great programs, and it's also important to emphasize too. I mean, at the Heart Locker, you know, I've seen that it's not just, you know, stuff for students; it's for the whole family. I mean, you have people coming in with their babies. You have stuff that, you know, some stuff at least for the whole family, not just the students. Correct?
Yeah, and it's such a cool opportunity to be able to, you know, meet these parents who maybe to a lesser degree are involved in their students' education. I mean, for a whole host of reasons. And, you know, maybe they didn't have an educational experience that was fulfilling, or they have, you know, maybe been stigmatized when walking through the door because of the way they look, or, you know, the kids that they have, or, you know, all of these things that can kind of play into someone's first view of someone and then how they're received. And so we really try to work hard. That's something that the school district and I talk about constantly. You know, how can we truly meaningfully bring families in to participate in their students' education? And so it's a really great opportunity for me to shake hands with these families, look them in the eye. I mean, not now because of COVID, we're doing like, you know, an elbow bump or like a high five distance, and talk about their kids and talk about, you know, their successes and their worries and, you know, their needs, wants, and wishes. And it's just really cool to get to connect with someone on that level. And when you're talking about someone's kids, you know, you're best friends for life. So yeah, it's a cool little odd little square of earth that we've built here. But we're having fun, and I think you know, I get a lot of positive feedback from our families and our students, and so we're just going to keep going.
Great, so great. And so folks who wanted to volunteer or contribute or donate, what do you recommend? How do they get a hold of you or find out information for doing that?
Yeah, awesome. So they can go to our website, which is kalispellheartprogram.org. We also have a link up on both Kalispell and Evergreen schools, their school websites, linked to ours. And then also, yeah, I mean, people can just swing in and take a quick tour. We're here, it's pretty limited hours. There's always someone here at the locker, 8 to 10, Mondays and Tuesdays in the morning, and then 3 to 6, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday after school. So people can just stop in and say hey, and we're always willing to give a tour and show off what we've built. So yeah, there's lots of opportunities to get involved, and we don't need an abundance of money to do what we do because people are so generous in providing us with the things that we need. So it's pretty cool. And everybody can clean out their closet. Everybody's got a spare blanket that they don't use anymore, or something that can be put to better use. And so that's us.
Well, that's wonderful. But Nichole, you do such a great job with that organization. You're such a wonderful advocate for these families. And so I'm always impressed with the work you do and thankful for it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on the program and explaining what you do. And I wish you the best of luck this school year.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to reach more folks. So thank you.